The topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Yes, we were born to be alive. You're listening to Rosie Pika on Until Now on W4CY Radio. If you'd like to join the live chat, where I look forward to catching up with all of you from last week, continuing on with going to the dark side of our mind, since Jupiter is in Scorpio for the next 18 months. And that is about all things we've kept hidden that aren't working for us and helping us and assisting us being revealed so that we can, I to put it bluntly, clean up our act. And for those that were listening and said that she speaks too fast, the good news is for you that I've been up since about 2 o'clock this morning, so you might get an actual slower version today. So if you'd like to ask your question, go across to w4cy.com, click on the right-hand side, and I'll be able to answer them as we go along. Now, the one thing with mental health awareness gaining precedence today, our own mental states, there's those that will like to pass it on to someone else to do the job of tying up. We've got an endless supply of people as psychiatrists, shrinks, psychologists, whatever feel-good name we want to give to them. And again, it's like asking someone to eat your food for you. They can do it, but you're not going to get any of the benefit of it. So the purpose of this program, and I'm going to bring it all right back from the very start where we were last week, was bringing together a MAPP system to help us identify on track and we're off track. So this is the process for successful change strategies. And its purpose is so that we ourselves are masters of all that occurs within our own lives. So I'll keep it slow and I'll keep it sweet and simple, just like me today. And I'd actually also say I'll keep it short, which is sort of a bit like me. I just recently caught up with one of my friends who I worked together as a former police officer, and he said, Rosie, what's this about being short? So I mentioned it in a comment saying, look out for me, I'll be the short one. And I meant it as a joke because I haven't seen him for 15 years, in case he assumed overnight I'd grown to about 6'2". And instead of him taking it as a joke, he thought that, I was taking shots at myself. And I thought, no, I'm only short on the outside. My insides are huge. And the insides, this grey area, or this, area we have access to with our fingertips up here in our head, is what's our domain, and it's unlimited. It has no size. So, small, big, none of that has any relevance. It's the size of our thinking that matters. However, there are those that aren't thinking. They're just, regurgitating or stinking the reality with all that they've currently learned. So those that... Thank you for your comments. Looking forward to the show, and please bring us back up to speed. And I don't have my notes handy from last week. I'm going to start it right back to the very beginning. So the first M was for our mind. Now, this is about creating a gold mind or a diamond mind. It's everything emerges. I'm going to use this as the analogy. Now, everything I say, don't take it verbatim. God, Rosie said, everything comes from this, so therefore that must be the truth. It's an easy way to communicate. So if I say everything emerges, it doesn't mean absolutely everything, because I believe everything comes from more than just our mind. But today we'll keep it simple, and we're just talking about the mind. So I'm going to say everything emerges from our mental states before it's in our real manifested existed states in our world, in our reality, or in our face, as a lot of us have our life experiences served up to us on a platter. So if it's in our mind and I am the creator and the instigator and I am planning and plotting my success, I don't want that mind to be a coal mind. It's not coal I want delivered up to me. It's gold. You know, it's the good stuff. So in order to have that good stuff, is the difference of shifting from where we're at to where we intend to be. And we only intend to be somewhere different because of the feeling we think we're going to get from it. Now, some of you are already thinking, Rosie, I thought you said you were going to talk slower. You're a bit tired today. Well, I always get excited about this stuff because I love it when we are the directors of our destinies, that we are, you know, the creators of all that's unfolding in our lives. And, you know, just as I love music, that when you hear a particular song, it reminds you of a place or a space or, you know, brings back some other memories. As soon as I start talking on me being the master of my mind, all of a sudden my juices flow and I'm really excited all over again. So our MAPP system is about that. First M is for our mind. What sort of mind are we mining? What are we putting in there? What are we looking for? What are the nuggets that we are going to utilize for our life? So that M for mind is the first letter in the acronym MAPP. And MAPP is spelled MAPP. So the A is the ability to take action or steps towards what it is that we are wanting, whatever we in our own lives think success is. Because you can talk to many different people and they're all going to give you a different definition, different version. It makes no difference what Bill Blogg's version of success is. It's whatever your thoughts are. For me, success is being able to do what I want, where I want, with whom I want. That freedom and that ability to have fun and to do it in a body that feels good, that for me is my definition of success. And it's dictated to by every moment. You know, I don't look off to a long distant future event anymore and say, oh, gee, when that happens, when that book is published, I will feel successful. When that child is born, I will feel successful. And whatever, when I've got that job that I've been chasing, I will be successful. No, never, ever put our future off for any opportunity to enjoy moments of success. So part of that action, the purpose of that action is to not only observe the synchronicities that line up for us, it's also to initiate and activate the feeling as if that long-awaited event has now occurred. It's called an attitude. We're developing that attitude right at the moment. That word attitude has been bounced about in thought movement circles, and, you know, for centuries now. And the reason why it has been for so long is because of that main kernel of truth it's always contained. Einstein taught us a big lesson. He felt it was more important to use your mind to think than to use it to store facts. Because that power, let's face it, when we go to school, and this is something that I complained about to my son, they're teaching you all the things they want you to remember. They want you to be fact finders instead of being able to think for yourself and think outside you've currently been taught. If you aren't permitted to question, and that's absolutely anything you hear me say, if you don't sit there and go, Rosie, you know, this doesn't quite resonate with me, then you're not using your thing. If you're sitting there and going, oh, it does resonate with me, that's a bonus. However, don't ever allow someone else's thoughts to supersede your own. Your own is what's most important, irrespective who, what, where it's coming from. Your thoughts are an indicator of where you're at. So we're creating a mind for success. So we're creating that gold mind at the outset. We're choosing the actions that attain that attitude. They're the steps to take that instill in us a certain attitude. And the next letter in that mapping system is to P, protect it. Protect it from the poo-pooers, the naysayers, the critics, the haters, and even the well-meaning friends that want to say, well, I don't know why you're feeling so good about what you're doing. I don't see anything for all that you've been working on. Like, I've been working on a project for the last year that, God bless her, my gorgeous hairdresser who was here yesterday, and if you could all see me now, you'd be going, my God, Rosie, your hair is actually styled for change. Yes, it is. God bless her, she said, look, Rosie, I know what you are doing is just so worthwhile, and I know that no matter how much time you dedicate it to it, it will pay off, because you're one of the most persistent people that I know of. And I thought, yep, that's the power of being able to protect yourself from the people that would say, well, Rosie, geez, you've spent a year on this. I don't see much for your effort at the moment. You've been talking about where are the results? Yes, my hairdresser makes house calls. She's also become a firm friend. You always get to know the people that it's a win-win. And I'm a win to her with her mental development, and she's a win to me with giving me the gorgeous locks that I want before I travel away. So one of the questions asked is, but how do we know if our thoughts are correct? Well, how about I take out that word correct, take away right, wrong, and instead we work with thoughts that make us feel good or thoughts that make us feel lousy, because they're bad indicators, and they're far easier for us to tell, are my thoughts working for me? Well, I feel pretty good. I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I go, hey, they're good looking. What do you cook? I'm excited and enthused. I'm not looking at faults. I'm not pointing all the bits that aren't as they used to be. As I am feeling good, then my thoughts are what I would say are correct for me. So if your thoughts make you feel, at the very least, a feeling of relief, especially in times of stress. Now, stress is another buzzword up there with attitude. They seem to go hand in hand. Oh, you got the wrong attitude. Well, flipping an attitude requires a little bit of effort and some diligence. It is, your mental arena is a virtual playpen. Everything is unreal before it's real. So in that, you've got nothing to work with, nothing than touch, nothing that you can see, nothing that you can use your five senses with, but that nothing that you access with your thoughts is what turns into absolutely everything. So that nothing has never had more importance, and science is actually proving this point. But that's a whole other topic for another time. I don't want to lead us too far, because I gave you a wealth of information last week, and I want to bring it back down to a really simple process today, so you can take it away, and they're your own notes that you've got for you. So you should have an M for mind, the mind you're creating, a gold mind, a diamond mind. Or you've always got the other option. You can create a coal mine. I'm not here to tell you that's right or wrong. If you look doing it tough, doing it hard, in all presentations I say to people, who here is a lazy person? No one wants to raise their hand. And I'm the first one to say, well, I raise my hand and say, I'm a lazy person. And they look at me in shock and amazement, like, Rosie, how can you say you're a mate? Look at the different things you do. Look at what you've created. Look at blah, 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 blah. And I think, yes, because I like to do the least but get the most. So I like to strategize about what are those key action steps. But before the key action steps, what do I put in my mind? That's the first step. And people overlook that step. They wait to see things physically appear in their reality before they change their mind. And they go, oh, yes, once I feel better, then I'll go and do that. Once I've got the money to spend, then I'll go and do that. Everything is put off for a later date. There is no putting off. If it's not in your mind, it's not going to be in reality. And that's what's scary, because if it is in your mind, that's what's in your reality. And people keep thinking, no, this happened from out there. I didn't, invite this in. I didn't want that road rage incident. I didn't want this, cancer or terrible, ill health scenario of what's going on. Now, before everyone starts screaming and goes, oh, but Rosie, that stuff is outside of our control. Who says so? Who says it's outside of our control? You know, every single thought you think releases a chemical. You are a cocktail of neuropeptides released from your brain every single thought you think. And you are thinking about 60,000 thoughts a day. Add that day onto the next day and the next day. So your accumulation of these habits of thinking that you do day in, day out. And then all of a sudden your body's no longer in ease. It's in dis-ease because, and we all have them. You know, we get concerns about people that we care about and that we love. We get concerns about what other people think. We get concerns and caught up about work issues and dramas. We get caught up and concerned on, you know, what we consider survival issues. And, certain things take on greater meaning. You can probably hear my voice saying further down, down, down as I think and on this topic. It's like, just load me up with all the dilemmas and worries and weights of the world. Well, if that's the type of mind that you're carrying around day in, day out, that's heavy, that's hard, and that's the playpen that I want to play in. You know, that's challenging and that's difficult right at the outset. You know, as I said before, it's not the fact that someone else is more intelligent than us that makes them better than us. It's their ability to think. It's that ability to use what they've got to get the results. And it's that freedom of choice of what you've got to think. But you've got to keep it private and you've got to protect it. That's the end part of the mapping equation to success, is knowing that this is your domain. If you're going to talk about, okay, Rosie, well, right now I've had a dream. You know, I've always wanted to have a holiday in a particular area. You know, I don't know right now how I'm going to go about doing it or achieving it because I can't see those physical steps. And if I look at my reality, it doesn't seem the slightest bit possible. Some of us, our dream may seem like pie in the sky. So therefore I say to those people, don't look at the dream that's pie in the sky. Write it down so you've got it there, but write it down not as if one day. It down as if right now you are feeling fully and you are mentally immersed in enjoying it right this second. And I've been asked the question, are you going to be travelling? Is that what you are, travelling to this time? Well, I'm going to be doing a bit of a tour through Texas and catching up with some people there. But I've got to tell you, all my travels, before I ever travel, I always create in a mental state before I physically go anywhere exactly what I want realised. It's sort of like my minimum benchmark for my reality, and I allow it to surprise me. So if I don't feel good about it, I don't go into specifics. If I do feel good about it and excited, then I create a whole lot of channels about specificness. Now, I'll tell you, this is a true story. It's not related to a trip, but this is where I first learnt about this technique. Oh, gosh, I don't know, 20 plus years ago. And I thought I'd test it. And with everything I tell you, you know, give it a test, give it a play, but don't give up on it. You know, keep testing, keep playing. It's our lives. You're not going to break anything, especially in that mental space. So at this occasion, I had to move where I was living, and I had about, you know, a month to find a new place. And at the time, I already had a trip planned to be overseas for 3 months. And I thought, lousy timing. You know, couldn't this happen when I come back? Now I need to hunt for a new place and get everything moved all before I go overseas. And anyway, I thought, okay, enough of that negativity, of the problems, the difficulty and the dilemma. How about I focus on the outcome that I want? Wanted instead of unwanted. Something feels good instead of something that feels bad. And it's irrespective that there was no basis and no grounds for my reality that I was creating. So what I did, I went and had a look at one place and I thought, this place was lovely. And the lady was lovely and I thought, perfect. So I went home and I clearly imagined. Now, your imagination is the greatest gift that you've ever been given. You know, it is limitless. So I couldn't stress enough how much we should be really using it. Not filling your brains with facts, filling your brains with fun, with feel-good memories, what you remember, what you observe, and whatever you imagine. Fill it up with, that's what you'll get a return on investment on. So anyway, was learning this strategy where, and you do it in NLP, and NLP is short for neuro-linguistic programming, and it simply is a means to master through the words we use and the models that we mimic, behaviour patterns that get results for us. And it's taught in lots of business schools because they want to influence people. So the question is, so you're saying to create it in our heads to make it happen. That's the start process. Definitely create it in your heads in the sense of that it feels good and it's fun and it's light. So how do you learn this NIP stuff? No, it was MAPP. That must be my accent. MAPP. MAPP is an acronym. So each word, the first M is for mind, what we're putting in our mind. The second A is for the actions that create our attitude. The third P is for being able to protect it so no one else poisons or dilutes or destroys and contaminates what we've created. And the final P is being persistent, which I haven't got to yet. So it's the MAPP to be able to plot our way to the success we want realised within our own realities. So if you've just tuned in, you're listening to Rosie Pica on Until Now on W4CY Radio. And if you'd like to join the chat, go across to w4cy.com and click on the link on the right-hand side. Do they sell books on this stuff is one of the questions. Most certainly, but you can also go across to the website at www.kickbutt with one T, if kickbut.com.au, and there's certainly lots of articles and audios for you guys that love your audio books. And I've certainly written enough books, but this is new material that I'm creating. So how long of a study course is this MAPP info? Well, I'm sharing a really abridged version so you guys can take it away and run with it immediately. This is not a, please order now and there's 6 steak knives coming along with it. Yes, I know it's easier to listen to than read, even though I speak 100 miles to the second. I'm slowing it down. This is my slower version. So as I was saying, with this reality for this place that I wanted to move into, she had a lot of people coming in interested to move into her place. And I thought, well, I'm going to ignore that. This place is mine. I want it to move into so then I can go on my holiday overseas and not give any more thought to this hiccup that had occurred in my plans. And so I laid down, I imagined it in my mind. I made it as real as possible. I imagined where she lived was near my dentist at the time. And I did have a dentist appointment coming up that week. So I imagined her ringing me and saying, Rosie, I loved meeting you. I'd love to have you move in here. And I heard myself answering in my imagination, saying to her, that's fabulous because I've got a dental appointment this week. So I'll pop in and I'll give you, your rent before I go to my dental appointment. And that's pretty much all I did. And I just felt myself excited and eager and enthusiastic and relieved that this dilemma was now solved. Now I'll fast forward a couple of days. The lady in question does ring me up. She rings me and she says to me, oh, I'm sorry, Rosie. There was someone else that came along that we thought would be a better fit. But thank you for, inquiring to live here. Hangs up the phone. It's like, okay. Not quite the answer and not quite the reality I expected. However, I again didn't give it any thought because I was just learning this strategy. And in my mind with this strategy, if I created it, it was going to happen. So I simply laid it back down again in my mind. I had exactly the same conversation and I just removed her from the picture. I thought I was imagining anybody saying to me, not even a person. I was just hearing a voice saying, Rosie, we'd love to have you move in with us. That'll be fabulous. And I was feeling good and excited. So I thought, I don't know where my answer to my problem is going to come from, but I've created in my mind that an answer has come and that I feel good about it. So please don't overlook the emphasis I'm putting there, because to put it in your mind, if it's in your mind with stress, if it's in your mind with doubt, then it's out. It is not in your mind. So if it's easy to think about, if it's enjoyable to think about and comfortable to think about, it's like planting a seed. The seed has taken. If you're distressing and going backwards and forwards with your thoughts, going, oh, but what if this, oh no, but, or if you're running with a mental thought stream, which we all do, of the worst occurring, then that's what you're planting. So I just left it after that. I didn't think any more on it. I was still looking at other places. I wasn't getting distressed about it. And 2 days later, there's a phone call from this same lady that I saw previously. And mind you, I'd been to the dentist in the meantime, and I'd had my treatment, and they'd made another booking for me. And as it turned out, this lady has rang me and she said, oh, Rosie, it fell through with this other gentleman, and I'm hearing the exact words I'd seen in my original visualization. And she's saying to me, you know, we'd love to have you move in. And here I am answering the same as my visualization, saying, oh, that's fabulous, because I've got a dentist appointment just there next week, so I can drop in the rent money to you before I go. Now, that's a really simple example, but that's a true story. Now, I've used that many times since for many different scenarios, and I've learned over the years that the less specific you get about the outcome, the easier it can be to bring it to you, to have it delivered, to show up in your reality. The more specific you create it, like I did in that scenario by visualizing that I was going to that dental appointment, I ended up having 2 trips to the dentist that I possibly could have got away with only one. So leave room for the universe to surprise and delight and excite you with what you do create. So the mind is a powerful and potent tool when used. We've been taught in schools to use it as a storer of facts, information and data, when in the old days, you know, tons of books of encyclopedias did that for us, and today so does the internet. So realistically, to be a storer of facts does not put you in the percentage of people who excel in their goals, their dreams and ambitions. In actual fact, the people with the greatest level of facts only, that are great at being able to retell what they have originally been taught and aren't independently thinking, are at the bottom 5% within businesses and industries. So yes, as one listener's commented, guess we need to be careful what we think about. Well, I learned that, but again, when I wrote about this in Time to Kick Butt, my first book, I was at the stage where I was policing my thoughts, because I thought, oh my God, I am an amazing creator. Everything I'm thinking about is coming about. So now I was worried about all the things that I was thinking about that were so terrible and dire and horrible, and going, oh no, I don't want that happening in my reality. It's not as dire and as much of a dilemma as that. I would like to say and relate it to our habits. You know, we all have habits. Some of those habits work well for us, like we get up each morning, you know, we brush our teeth and, you know, brush our hair and have a shower. You know, that's a good habit for our personal hygiene and our well-being. Another habit might be to drink lots of water throughout the day. You know, bodies don't work well without water. Muscles don't work well when they're dehydrated. And our brains are the least efficient, being 90% water themselves, without a good top up of some nice clean water. So these are habits that work for us. Same to our habits of thinking. And our habits of thinking evolve over time to reveal the crop that we've already planted, what we put in that mind. Is it gold? Is it diamond? Is it coal? What have we got in there? The results around us let us know that's the crop I've been planting. So if it's not to our liking, that's not when we beat ourselves up and go, oh, aren't I terrible? Oh, my God, I can't believe I was thinking about that. It's about just simply letting it go. Letting it go. Find a way to be at peace with it. If you can't find a way to think on it and be peaceful about it, in the words of my wise father before he passed, Rosemary, if something upsets you, you just don't think about it. Now, that's a challenge, because we're taught in schools, the same place where we're taught to store all this facts and data that you can get in 2 seconds anywhere else. that we think on problems. We focus on problems. We stay immersed in problems. We stay talking up about all those people who done me wrong song. We play it again and again. And I mean, that's a well-worn road and track. It's called a rut for a reason. It's repeating those useless thoughts. They don't take us anywhere except back to where we've already been. And if that place we've already been didn't feel good, why the hell would we go back again? Well, we go back again because it's a habit. It's a habit of thinking. The difference in attitude for being successful and not successful is thought management. And it is being aware. It is looking at our circumstances around us. They reveal to us, this has been my pattern in the past. And they say, the successful people differ from those that aren't because of their ability to persist. And they seem to think that persistence is a unique trait. Well, I'm here to differ on that point of view because I believe all human beings know how to persist. The difference is, do they persist in something that promotes passion positively and personally, or do they persist in resistance? Do they stay stuck? They persist in that complaint, in that whinge, in that moan, in that groan, in the, who done me wrong? And we all know people like that. And I'm having a little bit of a laugh about it because, it's not to say that, they're bad people, that's terrible, because I've been that person. We've all been it at different times in our life. We get caught and stuck in our habits of thinking, and that becomes stinking thinking. And that mental arena is called a dump for a reason, because there's nothing we're putting in there that we want around us. We filled it with unwanted. We're sitting immersed in unwanted. How can we possibly feel good in all of that? So that's why I say, be specific in the sense of when you're playing with your imagination, use it freely. Use it for fun. Use it for freedom. Use it for frolic. Use it everything that order that you can excite and delight and inspire and empower. And reality has no basis whatsoever here. That doesn't belong in here, because everything that you see around you, every building, every structure, everything that exists, all came from nothing. Absolutely nothing. All the universe, you can go out to the billions of planets and galaxies and stars and everything that exists, all came from nothing. So understand that nothing is the most powerful point that you have in the present right now access to. You have full control over this domain. There is absolutely nothing you cannot achieve or attain. The difference for those of us is getting out of our own way at times. And as I said, that it's learning to choose what we're persisting in. We're going to persist now in what promotes good stuff for us. And it's bringing it back to some really simple things at times. You choose to make an appointment, with your success, with what you want to meet up with. And in making that appointment, it's more than just a time and date, in your calendar. It's there locked into your mind. This is a space you can go to at any time when you're waiting in queues, waiting in checkout, driving along, don't get too distracted. I don't want to be responsible for using that. Oh, Rosie told me to do this, so I wasn't paying attention. No, that won't work. So this is your space. So why are we not getting places? People keep replaying things, hoping it can change things. Well, if you're replaying it in your mind that makes you feel good, that's a good thing. It's when you're replaying it in your mind to make you feel right is not such a good thing, because people have done atrocious acts on this planet in that belief that they are right. And it's the right fighters that often create the greatest difficulties. And it's expectation that creates that difficulty, the expectation we have of others. We want other people to live up to what we have set for ourselves. Now, everything outside of us only has the meaning that we attach onto it. Wow, there's a thought process. It's like, okay, everything only has the meaning that I give to it. So someone buying flowers, say we've got, husband brings home flowers to his wife, they've been married for 15 years. Every time he's brought her home flowers, she might be thinking, right, he's done something terrible. What is it this time? That's not an opportunity to see with fresh eyes. That's automatically we're gauging from the past what's happening now in the present. It's not a now moment. It's still running an old program. And we do this. We see people that, if they've done something wrong by us, that's the first thing that comes to memory. That person has no meaning other than the meaning we put onto that person or that expectation we put onto that person. So this is why they talk about that when we can drop expectations, it's not expectations of ourselves, it's drop expectations of others. Once we do that, it allows them a level of freedom to surprise us in positive ways if we have started to ingrain a gold mind. If we are using our minds to pay attention to all the events that start to show up, that show you I'm on my way to what it is I wrote that I wanted. Like most of you are aware, I'm writing this 8th book at the moment, and I break it down. I don't have the goal of just writing the book. I might have the goal, a really simple part of just turning the computer on for the day. Wow, Rosie, you really are lazy. That was your goal that you succeeded in. Yes, it is. The reason why is don't make these success steps massive hurdles. Don't make them big to-do items on your list. Make them so simple, like, I got out of bed and I put the right sock on the right foot. You're going, Rosie, there is no wrong sock for a wrong foot. Of course. I rigged it so that I can't fail. I'm creating a success mind. When I create a success mind, I only want in there stuff that tells me how what I'm doing is great, how what I'm doing says I'm on the way to what it is I want, how it lets me know that I can pivot at any time from feeling bad to feeling good. And, that's mastering our minds, because all throughout the day, we're exposed to a constant barrage from media, from friends, from culture, from religion, from philosophy, from, all sorts of sources, all sorts of places around us, that if everything outside of me were to dictate how I felt, it would be like a wild roller coaster ride. Every day be like, up, down, all over the place, because of the fact that I'm no longer in control. I'm no longer directing my destiny. Movement is important. It indicates change, but it doesn't need to be movement all over the place. The only way we need to do movement is in our minds, from a stuck space to a freer place. So, and it's funny, Rodney Dangerfield, you might be aware of him as the comedian, he confessed to his wife to seeing a psychiatrist. So his wife said, she confessed as well, yep, I'm seeing a psychiatrist and I'm seeing a butcher and I'm seeing the car repair, the mechanic. It was like not quite what he was anticipating when he revealed that he had dark spaces in his mind. Now, the opportunity to always make fun of ourselves, as I do with talking about being short, as other people might do to lighten up a topic, is so that we can make these stuck places a little bit freer and a little bit safer spaces. Because when we talk to other people, they're not in our heads. They don't understand what we're saying or how we're saying it. So words are a tricky and challenging at the best of times to convey the meaning that you intend, let alone the meaning that the world intends, let alone the meaning that the other person hearing it perceived and picked up. It can become also confusing. So we'll keep things really simple and go to, this is about finding more ways to feel good and less ways to feel bad. If there was a shortcut path to getting what I wanted instead of stuff that I didn't want, I wanted that path. And I learnt this, for the last 16 years. I've been teaching it all around the world. And when I share the same today as I did 16 years ago. But 16 years ago, people would look at me, and it's that old excuse-itis. It's that but, that bloody useless thought, that one B-U-T, not the butt you sit on. They'd go, Rosie, you're too young to have done all these things you said you've done. You don't look old enough to have had all these experiences. It's irrespective where a message comes from of anything you hear today. It could be a song on the radio. It could be, I'm not going to say book you pick up because a lot of you like audio. It could be just one word that stands out. It could be on a billboard that you drive past. It could be a leaf falling in front of you, a dragonfly flying past. Absolutely anything whatsoever. These are messages that we give meaning to. And the more you give meaning to it and observe it, the more meanings come. And people start doing this by, wanting to do, readings, wanting to, utilize their dreams, wanting to get information. It's not just a school we went to when we were kids. Our whole environment is that school. Everyone around us is that teacher and is that opportunity. People look at young children and think, we're teaching them. No, if you're open to learn, they are the ones teaching us. The words that they use, the information that they come out with. And I'm forever being amazed at the simplicity that they get it in. And then there's other people that want to call themselves experts that want to make this also confusing, also difficult, also hard. No, it is not. It's as simple as feeling good. The more you find ways to feel good and be that music, like, for example, I have Born to Be Alive always play at the start of a program. It was the start of my presentations when I first started speaking, and it was not long after my mother died. And this song, as soon as I heard it, I felt her being in the front row seat, watching me come on stage in front of thousands of people in a hometown that I'd grown up in. And it was like a pivotal moment of, hey, Rosie, you're doing something really good, and look at all these people recognizing you. But more importantly, I felt my mum's excitement and glee that she was part of this. Now, she had passed away before this, but that song reminded me, because it was born to be alive. We're never born to be dead. We are never dead. So your thoughts you have in your head right now, they persist long after this physical aspect of you is gone. So that's why persistence is a most important strategy of the MAPP that I've shared to success, of knowing what you put in your mind, that it's developing your attitude and the action steps that you take, that it is promoting your passion and your positivity that you protect from all others. But most importantly, what you're persisting in continues so long after. What is the key essence? If people were to speak about you, that would be what you had persisted in all your life. And it's interesting that, I asked a lot of people that have known me for a long time, 3 key words to describe me. And I thought, I'm going to get this from other people because I'm curious to see. And unanimously, one word showed up all the way through, and in varying guises, but that one word was determination. And I thought, isn't that interesting how other people have always seen me as very determined? I have seen myself as I've always persisted in what helps me to feel good more on a day-by-day basis. And if it does feel good, that's what I will persist in. If I can think on it and I feel good, that is what I will persist in. If I can eat it and consume it and know it's doing me good because I feel good, that is what I will persist in. These are my habits for thought management. I am picking and deliberately and intentionally picking the things I will persist in that empower me personally. So that song, Born to Be Alive, reminds me at all times we are always alive, eternally. There is no moment that we are not. And right now, if that moment is not feeling so good, give yourself permission. That's okay. That's not a bad thing. You know, grey is a colour too. Black is a colour. Darkness exists. But they exist to give us contrast. They don't exist for us to remain as a permanent state in that place and space. As I said before, you know, grey can be a colour of a day. It can be an area. It can be how we describe when things are confusing or not clear, when our minds are muddled. That's perfectly fine. Again, there's no right or wrong. It's just letting us know, hey, when I'm grey, I don't feel that great. What are my tools I've got that can change me because I am alive? I have got this ability to think really, really big. You know, my intelligence doesn't determine that. The use of my ability and my stick ability of what I am choosing, that's what affects my mood, you know. And there are simple physical things around us that help that mood to lighten up from grey to, I'll select, you know, another colour that for me is more enlivening. The first is breathing. Many of us are breathing too fast. When we breathe too fast, we're not getting enough oxygen to ourselves. Another is not getting sunshine. We need that vitamin D. It affects our hormones and our body processes. So use the physical things we have around us, you know, get a dose of sunshine, take a big breath and observe what you are intaking. This is your diet, and your diet includes water. Diet includes anything that is full of color, full of vibrancy. Diet includes what you listen to, that music, that information. That this is all part of your intake. It's not just whether it's a Big Mac you're eating. Energy is so much more. It is family stress, work stress, world strife, social media, environment, things that are depressing, surroundings that are around you, clutter. It all becomes overwhelming because you're observing it. So these are areas that we have habits of our thought management. Make it easy. Put something you enjoy to look at nearby as a reminder that you are alive at all times. Pick a song that is your theme song. Play it to charge you up, to revitalize you when you're feeling a little bit deflated, because we do go up and down. That's okay. It's knowing that down is not permanent. It's knowing it's a transition, and that is okay. As I normally do, I always pick a card from the Abraham Hicks series to do with what I want to talk about. And with this mapping for success, I picked the card, I can pivot from feeling bad to feeling good. And I thought that's exactly what I've been talking about. You know, the black dog, we call it in Australia. It probably has other names in other countries. It's the term for depression and for these overwhelming chronic states. And I gave the statistics last week that were just overwhelming, that we have of so many people affected worldwide by those mental states. So that's why I didn't want the point of power being outside your own hands by seeing a shrink, talking to someone that you have to pay money to. This is what we can do ourselves. So as you look for a better feeling way to approach whatever you are giving your attention to, and as you continue to ask yourself from your ever-changing vantage point, what is it that I do want? Eventually, you'll be standing in a very pleasing place. So keep asking yourself, what is it that I do want? We often know what we don't. So what we do is the opposite of what we don't. For you cannot continually ask yourself what it is that you do want without your point of attraction beginning to pivot to that direction. That's your map. That's your mind. That's your gold mine. You're starting to think on what it is you want. The process will be gradual, but your continued application of the process will yield wonderful results in as little as a few days. So use your map, create what it is that you want in your mind, select something specifically and small, create your action steps towards it, and those action steps include that adjustment in attitude if it's required. So if it's a problem you're wanting solved, no more talking about that problem. That's the first thing about an attitude. And then being persistent in it and ignoring those that would not protect it, because that's your state, space, and your place. So until next week when I'll be coming to you from Turing, Texas. I look forward to talking to you all then. You've been listening to Rosie Pica on Until Now on W4CY Radio. Talk to you soon, and remember, if it's not in mind, it won't be out there.